It is finally here. The last 2 years of Auburn football can be put behind us. Spring practice has arrived. Let's talk about it. Let's celebrate it. And of course, let's speculate. War Eagle, and welcome back here to the show. It is the E2C network where we share the whole Auburn experience, and we're diving into a particular topic today. I'm your host, Kyle, and we appreciate you joining us however you got here, whether you're watching live or on the replay. A couple of things for you all to get you started today, the normal instructions, the normal routine of how we get this thing going. Let's start off with this. Whether you are watching, let's say you're watching on the replay right now, we appreciate you joining us. I'd love for you to watch the show today, but also participate or listen to the show, but participate. Make sure you drop comments or questions. We will address those after the show, but especially for those of you watching live, you can do so as well. Participate. We'd love to hear some of your thoughts and comments about this particular topic today. But of course, everybody in unison today, let's start off the show by checking in, posting where you're watching from, your city, your state. If you're international with a War Eagle, that is how we want to get this thing rolling this morning. Let me start off with some opening thoughts. There's really no agenda other than just kind of taking this time to celebrate a very important day for Auburn football. Truly, I think, the beginning of hopefully getting the ship righted. For all of the last couple of years, really, where there's not been a lot of progress forward, but a lot of progress back. A new beginning truly starts today out there on the field, while there's been efforts made in terms of bringing in, obviously, a new staff, a new regime, and recruiting and things of that nature. And of course, off-season workouts, and not to diminish the things that have been done outside of that. But today is the day where it begins. So just wanted to talk through that a little bit, maybe answer any questions or thoughts that you guys have. I can think of the one big question that I'm honestly waiting for it right now. Are we going to get a transfer quarterback? Surprised it already hasn't come through already. But yes, we can talk about some of those things today. Good to see you, yo boy Wilson. Thanks for being here live today. You can check in like he did and let me know that you're here if you are watching live too, and just drop your comments or questions. So yes, today is the day. We look forward to that. They've already started posting things live this morning, sharing that the lights are on at the facility. They're going out there in the practice field for the very first time as a team. I believe it's this afternoon, but I could have that wrong. But I believe their practice, at least the practice that I know of, is this afternoon. But regardless of what it is happening today. And we will start to glean. We will start to gather information from those media members that are able to attend and what they're able to see, what they're able to share. And they will give us something to talk about, something to speculate about. So what do you think is going to come out from this particular spring practice? What is the storylines that you think? Like, do you think people are going to anybody will transfer out? I know that we've already addressed the thing that everybody wants to know: who's going to transfer in at a particular position. But what do you think is going to be different about how Coach Freeze runs his particular football program? That's what we're really sitting on this morning. The excitement of what is a brand new start for Auburn football, but also the unknown. We don't really know what's going to happen. We don't really know what to anticipate. Obviously, football is football. It doesn't change all that much in terms of the basics. Well, I shouldn't say it changes. It changes a lot, actually, and some of that we all lament about. But there are a lot of, I think, things that stay the same, too. Russell, good morning to you, sir. Said, let the good times roll. Special times ahead. I think also, too, maybe kind of getting at what the heart of Russell is saying here, is this is a very, very much in terms of when we talk about the big three of Auburn sports, and they will always be that way, just the way things are: football, men's basketball, and baseball. The latter two have in some ways let the fans down a little bit this season, just in certain areas. needed to be a little bit of a rejuvenation, excitement in one of those areas, and that has arrived today. Very much needed something different to feel, to talk about in regards to some of the big three things. Russell says, excited to hear about the revamped offensive line that might become a strength. So that's, and I'm glad, well, you said may, I took the words out of context. I'm glad that you brought up that it may become a strength. One of the things that I would love for us as Auburn fans to do this spring practice is, and it won't happen collectively, but it'll happen for some of us, are able to rationalize and realize that sometimes we put expectations on a team, a player, a coach that they're not necessarily ready for yet. This is year one. Not every year one is going to be a one-loss national championship run. And I would say that especially is the case for this offensive line. But that's going to be other than what does the quarterback race look like? And let me back up before we get into that. Other than some of the obvious storylines that are always fan favorites for this time of year, that's going to be one of particular interest. What does it look like? Who wins in some particular categories? Is it truly going to be wiping the slate clean and all of these new guys at the offensive line are going to be the starters? It absolutely could be. I think that's probably the betting money right now. But there's still some guys that have been around and maybe they've needed just a little bit of a different direction, a little bit of a different tutelage. We've already lost one particular guy to be part of the offensive line, but we'll see. Thomas says, let's get those pads popping. It's time for football. Real quick. So last night we talked a little bit about on the Auburn Experience podcast about the schedule, and I'm going to probably release a video segment of that today for those of you that weren't able to watch that, talking about the schedule where Austin and I do that. So we'll probably have that information out there, but just to give you a little bit of a gist of what's happening right now. Their goal is to practice Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, and they will be, if I'm remembering that correctly, I believe they will have a week break for spring break. And then I think there's like a Friday they missed for some reason, but really for the next month and a half, Monday, Wednesday, Fridays leading up to a Saturday A-Day is where we're heading to. That's really the schedule for this. So there's going to be information that comes out in droves, speculations that come out in droves here at the very beginning of spring practice, in my opinion, probably for the first week and a half, but then it's going to slow down, especially as we hit that spring break. I think you'll probably have that lull hit during spring break because obviously they won't be practicing and stuff like that. But I almost wonder too, about after the halfway point, will we have some people making decisions, seeing where they're landing on the depth chart and stuff like that to transfer out potentially, maybe. We shall see. Yes. Thanks for welcoming everybody into the chat there, Russell. Appreciate that. So that's kind of how I see things going. Just talking about like expectations in terms of logistics and things like that for the next Monday, Wednesday, Fridays for the next month and a half. That's kind of how I see it flowing. A lot of information at the start, a small period of lull at the middle part before some people start transferring out potentially. And then as we that last week is going to be the worst part. Everybody gearing up to go to A-Day. My hope and my, desire is for there to be a really good showing at this A-Day for Coach Hugh Freeze and this team, because I really think they need it. And I'm not calling for, I am calling for, I wish we would pack it out the way we did after the national championship game. I just know that's not a reality, but I am hoping, I'm really desiring for us to have a good showing there to get kind of this new beginning start, because it does feel like a new beginning. All right, let me come back to some of the things that we're anticipating. We talked already a little bit about the offensive line. If there's anything else that you guys are interested in following, hearing about throughout spring practice, drop it in the chat right now as we kind of speculate and talk about it. Quarterback situation. Robbie Ashford is your heir apparent. TJ Finley is still here. We have Holden Gerner. Hank Brown is in the mix now. And then, of course, you've got a couple of others that not necessarily factor into it. But the big question is, will Auburn get a transfer quarterback? I don't think you're going to find out the answer to that until well after the spring practice is over. So my advice to all Auburn fans, sit back, let this process play out here, and just see what happens with that. I'm not ruling out that we have a transfer quarterback. Coach Hugh Freeze, I believe himself, has said that that's a possibility. But for now, Robbie Ashford's your guy until someone beats him that's currently here. And right now, I just don't see that happening. But I could be wrong. Obviously, that's just kind of how I feel. Good to see you, Joe. Thanks for being here. Transfers out and incoming replacements after spring are going to entertain us in the offseason. Yes. That's going to be probably outside of the initial excitement of this first week, the things that really people pick, focus in on who's leaving, who might come in. But most of those, the coming in part won't happen until after. Well, and that's the hard part too, right? Because this is our spring practice time. Everybody else's, schedules, when they're practicing, when their spring game is going to be much different than ours. So keep that in mind too. Just because ours is in, it doesn't mean it's like they start coming in immediately. Or they could. I don't know. Thomas is interested in the defensive line rotation. Yes. In fact, today I will be joining Mark Rogers at the voice of college football, to talk the Auburn defensive outlook for spring practice. So be looking for that out there. It's not a live stream, but we're recording it and it'll be out within the next 24 hours. So I hope you guys go follow him. But we'll be talking a little bit about defensive expectations over there. And I'm still working through my thoughts on that, on how I feel about everything there too. Special teams wise, obviously, new kicker. We got our punter extraordinaire from down under. A lot of new athletes on the field, which means we'll get a lot of them opportunities at special teams, kick returns, and things like that. That'll be fun to see, I'm sure. And we'll see some of that in media viewing windows. Russell says there's a deep rotation at defensive line with lots of options. Yes. So that's the great thing about new beginnings, especially when you bring in a lot of new transfers. This is going to be a completely different team in that their options are so different. A lot of your leaders are gone. Your Derek Halls, your Owen Papos, your Leotas, Colby Woodens, and I know I'm just naming those. Tank Bigsby, the offensive line leaders are gone. Some shed or a couple of wide receiver options are gone. There is going to be it's that way every year, but a big new feel this year with the options at the depth chart with the transfers that have come in to be part of this team and hopefully participate in a significant way. Because I think we all recognize, even the players there, that this time for a fresh and a new start here on the Plains. All right, here's what I'd love to do to kind of round out our show. If you've got final comments or questions you'd like me to address about this particular thing, drop them in now. Let me give you a reminder of what to expect of our schedule coming up. We will have a couple of videos probably for you today on the channel, so be looking for those. Tuesday night, we're probably going to try to do that midweek baseball live stream. Kind of just stand by on that. But our next scheduled live stream will be Wednesday at right after the basketball game, which I believe will be 9 p.m. Eastern time. So no Auburn family live stream this week, but we will have the post-game show. And then, of course, follow us along on all the different things on social media. Check out the links in the description. Be part of our subscriber base so you can be part of that giveaway. You can be a channel member, a Booster Club member, but of course, smash that like button because it does help the stream out. Let's see here. You guys got a couple more comments and questions. Capers is back. Haven't heard officially. Russell, I can't actually remember if Zevion is officially back or he left or not, but that's a good question. I'll have to look that up. I feel like that's true. No, I can't remember. I'll have to go look that up. You spoke of 2011 Auburn A-Day, and I had to look it up. Totally didn't drop a tear watching it. You should go look at it. I've never seen a spring game like that. There wasn't the hype of what was going to happen with that season like there had just been before with Cam Newton coming in the season before. But boy, was it a good crowd. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful sight to see. Hopefully we'll see that. So we'll watch the situation with quarterback. We'll watch the different depth and playing opportunities that come available at each position. We'll watch how this team will operate under Hugh Freeze, under this new staff, get to know them a little bit better and some of these new players. There's a lot to glean. There's a lot to follow. There's a lot to be excited and celebrate and speculate. And I am super excited to be following along here on this channel, on our social media with you, our E2C Network family, and of course, here at the E2C Network, where we share the whole Auburn experience. Till we talk to you again, happy spring football, everybody, and War Eagle.